Hello everyone, welcome to the talk on spiritual journaling. I encourage you to listen to Mark's introduction to spiritual tools to use to help us to cultivate our spiritual life. I am sharing my experience of journaling, which is one of the 14 tools Eugene Peterson suggests we use to nourish and grow us. So, what is spiritual journaling? Spiritual journaling is simply journaling for spiritual and psychological awareness. There is nothing to master but your own ability to be self-aware. I have kept spiritual journals since 2013, and for me, this practice has had a profound impact on my spiritual journey. Writing has the power to help you see the beauty of God at work in your life experiences. When you express your thoughts and feelings in a journal, you'll be surprised by how much you discover about God in the process, and God will use your journal as a tool to transform you. God does a lot of good things in our lives, and it is so easy to forget how many prayers are answered and how many times He has spoken and what He has said. Journaling helps you to remember your God encounters. The whole point of journaling is to record those spiritual moments so that you can review and revisit those time of God encounters. I am going to share how I journal, but obviously each of us is different, so you need to find whatever works for you. I don't struggle to put words down or to express myself in writing. I have quite a few journals now, as I journal daily, and I take notes in sermons and Bible studies. And in my journaling time, over a cup of coffee, I will record anything spiritually significant that struck me during these times. Some people just write down anything that strikes them in their quiet times and not daily missives. My journaling is also a form of prayer for me. I will typically set my week up on a Sunday evening by drawing a cross in my journal and writing around it my intercessions for people, families sick and others I am called to intercess for, our country and world, and events happening in the week. I will look at last week's intercessions and note any answered prayers. Let's have a look at one of my journals and I'll show you the cross. And all the other stuff too. On this Sunday evening, or sometimes Monday morning, I will also review 2 other prior spiritual journals for the week and ponder on the points expressed. This is quite amazing, as often I will recall things like how much I was worrying about something that was so minor and insignificant in the end. Or I will see that this time last year I was very stressed as it was busy season at work, and God reminded me to make space. Or I was praying deeply for healing for someone, and now their pain is resolved. So the words He spoke then speak again to me today. Just the other day, I was reviewing my journal of 4 years ago this time, when we had just started our foster care journey and had our first child in our home. With foster care, you are called to love deeply but hold loosely. You don't know from day to day if and when a child will leave your family. And in fact, the ultimate aim and joy is that a family will be rehabilitated, healed, and be together again. But that is another talk entirely. I was begging God 4 years ago to allow this particular child to stay in our family, and I was feeling quite desperate and heartsore. God told me then not to worry. He has this family in His hands, and He will never give me more than I can bear. My only responsibility is to trust God and to love my family deeply. I wanted something 4 years ago which was not possible, as there was so much we needed to go through first that was necessary. Now, 4 years later, with 2 of our children in the reunification program, I needed to reread those words from 4 years ago about trusting, loving, and being certain that I will never be given more than I can bear. So, Reviewing spiritual journals is a way God speaks to us, how He reminds us of His words and His promises. After my weekly setup, I journal almost daily in my quiet time. I will review the previous day and record any God encounters or areas that God has definitely not been present. So I record my examen. I will typically read a Bible passage or a study, do some contemplation, and write in my journal afterwards with a cup of coffee. Often God will talk to me in this time. Sometimes I have images or messages for other people, which I will record and then tell the person. Then, once a year, at the end of the year and the Christmas holidays, I go through the year's spiritual journal and make a short summary of the year, month by month, of God encounters. I suppose if you are not as wordy as me, it would not be necessary to summarize your spiritual journal. But it is during these times of reviews that I realize how much God is working in my life and providing for me. It allows me to see the big picture more clearly, as it is hard when you are living day by day to see the big picture, to see the wood for the trees. But when you are reviewing over a larger time scale, things become so much more clear and they make sense. It also amazes me how I forget so easily the promises and words God has given me, and I start stressing and striving again. My journal is a reminder to my human memory of what God is trying to do in my life, my large life. Big picture thinking. I can see over the years that God's plan for me is so much better and so much bigger than I could ever have dreamed of or imagined. Now, there are other forms of journals, and I kept one on a pilgrimage I made to Israel. I love reading back on this. I had many God encounters on this journey, many raw encounters. I am also keeping a journal for each of my 2 children who are being reunified. And in it, I am writing any images, prayers, verses that God has given to me for them. It is possible because I can read back on my spiritual journal and have a reminder of what God said to me for them. They will take these books with them when they go. Again, spiritual journaling doesn't have to be so extensive. Do what works for you. Some people have a book that lasts for years but contains just as much God wisdom and encounters. So, I encourage you, write out what you are observing, hearing, tasting, reading, dreaming, risking. Pay attention. Record your daily life. Just write. Don't edit. Let your heartfelt thoughts flow. Make it yours. God bless you. Amen.